Hello, Key Biscayne. It is Monday, May 21st, 2018. This is your No One's Listening show, episode 110. I'm your host, Rafa, and I'm here with the panel. To my left is Anna.
Hi, Key Biscayne.
To her left is Billy.
Hello.
To his left is Manny.
Hi, Billy.
Hi, Billy. Yeah, right? We introduce him as if he's this,
So what I was going to say is, Billy, you want to tell us something about yourself? What you like to do on the weekends or something?
Sure. My name is Billy Kimball. I've lived in Key Biscayne now coming up on, I'm about to start my 6th year here. I live here with my wife and 2 children, Fernanda and Austin, who are 8 and 10. And the weekends are consumed, generally speaking, with kid activity. This weekend it was rainy, as we all know, here on the Key, but that didn't stop us. And actually, the rain turned into kind of a bonus because on Sunday they ran out. I don't know. Don't tell anybody. I'm just telling you guys this. They ran out to KBCS and rolled around the mud in that kind of old-fashioned kid way. It was, there's no rolling around the mud app on iPad that I'm aware of, but they had
Billy,
fantastic time.
Rafa, we're going to have to add Fernanda and Austin to the media release form now for that Billy signed because he said their names. And we did see what you guys did out there rolling around the mud. We saw the artwork that you did on the Knights signs.
Yeah, but for us it was part and parcel of what we love about the Key and why it's such a great place for families, which is that it's this kind of, Latin Mayberry where kids still do things. Like my kids go out on the weekends with their wagon, believe it or not.
That's fun.
And they walk there. They feel incredibly pleased, incredibly proud, incredibly liberated to be able to wander around on the Key they pack it up with provisions, with dog food, and they go 2 blocks away and they feel like they're kind of fully emancipated. It's great. And I know they're on the Key. And I know my neighbors and friends are keeping an eye on them, and it'll all be fine, even though I do get a little nervous about it. But that's the kind of special thing you can do here that I have to say, as a comparatively new arrival, I still appreciate every time we do it.
That's nice. Yeah. I like that.
Well, you beat us to it, but let's do the first segment we always do is Weekend Talk, so let's get right into it. So speaking of that, so do you guys go back throughout the year back to it's California, right?
No, I work in California. I'm a television writer. So for about 8 months a year, again, this is all Key Biscayne love. I love Key Biscayne so much that I take the red eye every Friday night and come back for the weekend and go out on the second flight on Monday morning.
Oh, wow.
And I do that, for definitely less than 6 months in a day. If the IRS is listening, and but I commute that far across the country. No, my wife and kids are here. They're in school here.
Gotcha.
We're here.
Yeah.
Cool.
So anyone that's commuting to Weston, it's not so bad.
It's not so bad.
And it's reverse traffic.
Yeah. I know it sounds a little crazy, and there's no real way to justify it, but I will say it's not. You don't need to send me a card or anything. It's not that bad. There's 8 transcontinental flights a day from Miami to LA thanks to American Airlines. And, I get stuff not on the plane.
Yeah.
Cool. What about your weekend, Manny?
Man, it was a rainy weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, I don't think I did much this weekend.
No?
You know what I did? On Friday, it was pretty cool. On Friday, I woke up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Usually I wake up at 6. Woke up at 5, and first thing I do every time is I check the weather when I wake up. I check the radar, and I check the tides because I'm like, man, I'm going to go out to the beach. It's early.
Your bike ride.
So I did a bike. It was low tide, so I did a bike ride out to the beach, and I was thinking I'm going to find some turtles out at this time. And this is definitely the time to find the turtles. So I get on my bike and I start heading south, and sure enough, I come up on a turtle track, an up track. Usually there's the up track. She lays her nest, and then there's a down track. But I didn't see a down track, so I'm like, she's up there somewhere, right?
Oh.
So I got off my bike. I got all stealth. I put on my red light and my red headlight, and I inched up. And when I followed the track up, I came to a post, which was the post, one of the posts from another nest that had been laid and already marked. And there was no turtle to be found.
If this story ends with soup, I'm going to be so disappointed.
It's a delicacy, really. And so
Turtle soup is
no
kind
turtle,
of-
no turtle, and I guess she had turned around. She hit the post and she went back down. So I got on my bike. I'm like, I bet she got in the water and she went a little further south. I'm going to find her again. So I keep riding south, and sure enough, about 200 yards down, I come up on just an up track. And I'm like, this is it, man. I got her for sure. And I get up there, I follow, and this up track led to a garbage can. The turtle ran into a garbage can up by Casa del Mar, got spooked, turned around, and went back to the water. So I was like, fuck. So I'm like, I'm gonna go a little further down. You know, it was like already getting, late in the morning. And I bike down to the state park, and I found her again. I found her track. There was an up track, and this time it was a down track. So she made it up. She laid her eggs. I didn't get to see her, but I thought it was a pretty cool story anyway.
Yeah, and I think, we all have unbelievable affection for our turtles here on the Key, and they've made an incredible comeback. Not the brightest animals.
Oh, they're not.
There are no raccoons. No. And that's why I think they need extra special care and love, from all of us. They're
And
beautiful.
They are a white meat, too, from what I understand. One more thing on the turtle that's interesting to note is that right now there's a leatherback nest out there that's ready to go. It was laid in March. Mm-hmm. It's a 2-month gestation or incubation or whatever it is for turtles. And a leatherback is so rare, only about once every 10 years does a leatherback nest on Key
How'd you
Biscayne.
find out?
No way.
Because first of all, it was really early in the season, in line with the leatherback season, and the tracks were clearly a leatherback track. It's a huge animal, so there were huge tracks that.
These things are like the size of a Volkswagen, right? I mean, they're the biggest turtles there are, right?
That's what
we're going to say here on the air.
Yeah.
You can put it in Wikipedia. World's largest turtle.
Google it.
All right, Anna, did you do anything this
I
weekend?
chilled with you on Thursday night. It was so good. We went to.
I love that your weekend begins on Thursday night.
Oh, our weekend used to begin
that's
on
a very,
Tuesday.
very
Our
KB moment.
Our weekend used to begin on Tuesdays, but we got old in the past 2 years and stopped going to the corner on Tuesday nights. But actually, this is what led to going there. It's our friend Arturo from he's the drummer for the jazz band at the corner.
He's played on the show before.
He's played on the show.
There.
Oh yeah.
He's also a composer, and once in a while, like, we've seen this twice now, where he composes for like an octet. The other time was even larger group of people playing, but he composed a suite and played at this place called Space Mountain that we've also talked about on the show before. And it was so good. He's just so, I don't know.
To have a friend who composes music and then puts it on in little places in Miami, and there's no scene for this,
No.
It's just like us. And,
It's like us and like 10 people watching,
10
but
other
it's
people
so good.
watching this thing that must have taken so much time, to put together, and all these people have to get together to do it. I mean, it's one thing to have a band, and it's another thing to have an octet and find classically trained musicians who can play your music.
One
you
guy
know what
was
I mean?
from the New World Symphony Orchestra, the violinist. The others were from
The UM Music School.
UM Music School, exactly.
But how cool that you were supporting it. That's great.
Oh man, we love
His stuff
going
is
to these things. And Arturo's he's an amazing percussionist. So he goes from like playing. He has a metal band also, a 2-person metal band where he's the drummer. Okay, then he plays jazz at the corner, and then he's composing for violins and cellos.
I'm just going to say, if you have a 2-person metal band, one of the 2 people better be a drummer.
Yes, exactly. Well,
Actually,
that's Arturo.
what's pretty cool in the metal band is that the guitarist also plays bass with his feet. He's got one of these, like, I forgot what it's called, but it's an instrument where you can play the bass, one scale on your feet. And so he can play the bass.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. And then he sings like with an operatic voice instead of those screamo guys, so that's kind of nice too.
They're awesome. Cave of Swimmers is their name if anyone wants to check them out.
I do want to mention one weekend thing, which was the father-daughter dance was on. This may not have been on your
Missed it.
Your iCal.
Should've told my dad.
But it's a really lovely thing they do at the community center that Melissa White and the Community Foundation puts on every year.
Nice.
we missed it this year because we had a kiddie birthday party, and that produces a lot of collateral damage. But I felt terribly to have missed it, so I want to definitely mention it here on the air. It's a really, 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 really lovely
I saw it on the
Super
paper.
fun and
That's
cute.
cool.
I'm surprised that you missed that, Billy, because Billy's a super dad. His wife was away this weekend on a girls' trip, and again, right? I mean, it's. But
Honey,
that's okay.
if
Manny
you're
getting
listening,
personal on the
I'm
radio.
kicking Manny under the table.
But
My
Billy missed
wife
it.
and some of her other friends, some of the other moms from the Key had a wonderful, well-deserved, relaxing
Nice.
girls' weekend in Cartagena.
Oh,
And,
nice.
And the dads, we
Play in the rain.
we hose the kids off. I mean,
Good.
when they get
Exactly.
dirty, throw the burgers on. It's all fine.
Sounds
That-
fun.
Great dad, great husband,
Yeah.
and the only reason that he missed the father-daughter dance was because he was doing something else with his kids. So
Oh.
good stuff, Billy. Ouch! Billy. Oh man.
So the wives all go to Colombia on a bender? That's what goes down?
It wasn't really a bender. It was just
I
a
don't
girls'
know
weekend.
anything about a bender. I should say I don't know anything.
There we go.
But yes, there was a. I don't know. Am I supposed to say people's names?
No.
One of the
Nah,
moms.
it's
One of the moms is. You're not going to believe this, but there's a Colombian living on Key Biscayne, and she invited them down, and they all went in. It's like not a hard place to get to because you're
right
in,
there.
you're
Yeah,
in
it's right
Miami.
there.
It's
And
very
Cartagena
close.
is supposed to be beautiful,
It's
and
gorgeous.
they had a great time.
It's beautiful there.
Shout out to Griff, who's in Colombia right now, too.
That's right.
He's working, though.
Griff or
Getting
any.
personal, people.
If Griff or
Getting
any of the
personal.
if Griff or any of the ladies went to Colombia or anyone else wants to give us a call, Rafa.
It's 305-361-8557. That's the number. If you got any comments. Actually, I have some
Or just chime in on
here
Facebook.
Okay. Well, that's our weekends. And now we move on to the next segment. It's always the next segment. It's what are you listening to? And I'll go first because I'm listening to the same stuff I was listening to last week, but just a different song.
Fun.
So last week, I recommended a band called Parquet Courts. The song was called Mardi Gras Beads. And I told you guys that the album was coming out on Friday. The album's called Wide Awake. And it came out, and it's just all the way through banging. It's just so good. And so I have another song. It's called Extinction. It's one that just caught my ear listening to it. I've heard it like 5 times now, like on repeat. The album, not the one song. And so I highly recommend it. It's rock and roll for today. Parquet Courts, Extinction.
And you've been listening to this for how long? You're saying?
Since Friday,
weeks.
just had it.
Oh.
No, Friday the album came out. That song wasn't out, so I've only heard this
played it to me
song
on Friday or on Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah.
Well, I've been listening to the Grateful Dead for about 35 years.
Is that always Manny's answer to what are you listening to?
So,
I mean, it's often.
when he's
It's like
not
80%.
when he doesn't have like one to like that actually caught his ear that day, it's like
He just goes back
he's got
to
the back
Grateful Dead.
order.
Yeah.
this
Or
weekend it was
Rolling Stones.
apropos. It looks like rain. 78.
Box of Rain.
Box of Rain that's good. That's Phil Lesh. But Looks Like Rain. It's kind of a love song, and Jerry just rips right through this one. So that's my number for the week. Looks Like Rain from 78.
Very good. Anna?
I don't usually listen to the Beatles, but I was this weekend because of the rain. I don't know why, but I was. And the song I'm going with, I was listening to Revolver on repeat, basically. And this song called I'm Only Sleeping is the one song I can play on the guitar. But I didn't know it before I learned how to play it when I was like 18 at Tulane taking guitar lessons for credit. Which was awesome. And looking back, I'm like, who is this? The guy was young. Now I look back on it and like he was probably in his 20s teaching a group of like 5 people guitar in New Orleans in like 2003. What a good job he had. But I learned how to play it. I can still kind of play it, even though it was like 15 years ago at this point. But it's such a good song. And then so when I was listening to Revolver, it came on and I was like, oh, that's the song. That's the song I could play. And it's actually a lot cooler sounding than when I play it. There's like trippy, psychedelic kind of sounds throughout the whole album, which is awesome. 1966 album. But yeah, that's it. The Beatles, I'm Only Sleeping.
All right.
I'm sort of a child of the last century, so one thing I've been listening to a lot lately is vintage Graham Parker, who wrote like 35 outstanding, incredibly catchy songs, and yet is not unknown, but certainly less known than a lot of other musicians of that time, Elvis Costello and Nick Lowe and so forth. And of course, we listen to everything in our house in the that paragon of high fidelity Alexa. But what I will say, but to her credit, it's not the best sound quality, leaves something to be desired. But if you ask Alexa to play Graham Parker, she will play Graham Parker.
That's awesome.
That's funny. Yeah, those little speakers. Do you have the small one or the tall one?
We have so many
Alexas. So many Alexas.
Yeah. Please, Amazon, send us more Alexas for mentioning you on the radio. We have the one that has a video screen, which I
didn't even know that existed.
I can't say I think it's terribly useful. And also have
I didn't even know that
one.
Existed.
And we couple the dots.
Does it have a camera too? Is it like straight up?
I'm sure Alexa and Jeff Bezos are keeping an eye on us somehow, but we're not paranoid about it. We feel it's basically a good thing.
A friend of mine, her husband developed stuff for Alexa. They live out in Seattle. And sometimes we're on the phone and she's like, wait, hold on. And like steps out of the room or something. Because he's constantly working. I mean, like she knows better, I guess,
watching our children scream at Alexa is a funny thing because you want them to say like kids, like they're talking to like be polite to Alexa, because
so
you're
funny.
Afraid that translate will translate to actual interaction with a human, whereas it is just a device, and there's no reason why you shouldn't just be switching it on and off. But they do try to reason with Alexa, which is
That's funny.
Funny and kind of interesting to watch.
And disturbing.
Well,
I've never played with an Alexa.
They're not. Do you find them that useful?
It's like having
for the music.
You all think of it. It's like having like an Apple IIe or something like that.
I don't even know what it is.
You can see where the technology's headed, or one of those brick cell phones. You can see that it's going to really be something in a little while, and it's definitely not quite there yet. But it's brilliant in its own way. The price point is very low, and it's another way that Amazon is there in your life. And one of the things you can do on it is you can say like, Alexa, can you just order me some toilet paper?
I was thinking toilet paper. When you were going to say it, I was thinking toilet paper.
That part of the app they have totally figured out. Alexa, I need ramen noodles.
Yeah.
And then it arrives in your house, and as long as Alexa's got a hold of your credit card, it's a fairly frictionless transaction.
That's so funny.
And then you'll be reminded in a week, it's like, how those ramen noodles?
Yeah, do you want them again?
Well, she remembers what
do you want
ordered.
Some more?
So you can say like Alexa, can you just order everything I order usually, and it all comes to your house.
That's crazy.
So it's brilliant. It's definitely not quite there yet, but it's better all the time.
That is interesting. We can go back to that after, but there's too many. I have a lot of questions about that because that's like freaky stuff.
We'll have an Alexa episode.
Yeah.
I will bring my Alexa if you want to have her on the panel.
Maybe we can have her on the show.
You just need a Wi-Fi connection, and you've got to preface every single thing you're saying with Alexa. You can't have anybody else named Alexa
in the room, right?
On the show that day, or the whole thing just goes.
Is her voice sexy?
No.
Okay, we don't want her. On
Do you
the
think
show.
Siri is sexy? No.
I get into arguments with Siri. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. It is Monday, May 21st, 2018. It's about 7 o'clock p.m. This is the No One's Listening Show, episode 110. We're here talking. We just did music, and now we're going to do the key hacks. We got a good one for you this week. This one's really good, and it's a little... I always say it's funnily contentious to a certain extent. Do you want to tell us the story, or do you want me to just tell it?
I don't want to be the one that let it out.
Okay.
Although I totally did, because you already asked me.
For those listeners who don't know, and maybe Billy,
hold on.
Key hacks are just that. Key hacks. Things that you get that you don't really know exist.
Until somebody tells you. And
that can help make your life in Key Biscayne even better.
Okay, so ready for this one?
I'll tell it. It's my story. I'll tell it.
You don't have to say the person you were with.
Well, I was with someone at Novecento one night. Obviously, it was a Tuesday because it's a half off the bottles of wine. And I was with two friends. One is from Argentina. The other one's Colombian. So there you go.
Go figure.
So we were there. We get the bill, and the Argentine friend goes in Spanish and with an Argentine accent, which I'm not going to do here. Rafa heard my impression the other day. She basically turns to the waitress and goes, "Oh, no. Can you make sure there's the holograma?" And she goes, "Yeah, of course." Comes back, and there's a 10% discount on our bill. So apparently, if you have the friendship going on there, I thought it was if you were just Argentinian, but my mother said that no, that you could be from other countries. You just have to have the hookup there, but you just say holograma, and they give you a 10% discount on the
How
bill.
do you spell that?
Holograma, which means
holograma.
like hologram.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could like just go there and say holograma and they give it to me. I think you like need to get in with someone, you know.
Wow.
So
That's
that's
a
a
good
big
one.
one. And you get 10% off plus the half off and whatever.
Yeah.
So originally the story was you had to be Argentinian.
That's what I
and I'm sticking to that story. Okay.
Oh, might be. I ruined the
So
story.
you need to be Argentinian, or you got to fake a good Argentine
give it to us, Rafa.
accent. So you get
Give it to us. I could just play the recording because you sent me a voice note with it.
This I have to say is rank discrimination because I am so far away from faking a good Argentinian accent. The time effective, we charge double.
Yes.
You charge double. If you say it wrong, they add 10%.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I have the recording of you.
The
I'm not
problem
gonna
is
know
that
what
the
it
whole time I'm ordering, I always, because they speak Spanish, so I order in Spanish, and they
Freaking
know
Basque.
they could tell my accent in a second is not Argentinian. If I go at the end, hey, che, holograma, and they're gonna be like, you're not Argentine.
I don't know. You had me fooled there, Rafa.
I don't know. That was a bad one. He's done it better before.
All right, so there's your key hack for the week.
Yes, go to our 900
Hologram.
and ask for the hologram
Ask for the hologram at 900.
on the discount. All right.
Let us know if it works. Too.
Yes,
Order a
please.
burger and then say hologram.
What I really want is somebody who is not Argentine and just heard it on the show to say it and report back to us.
Yeah,
maybe,
get back
maybe
to us
we
with
should
it.
do it for the show's sake.
I'm
Okay.
saying we should go eat for the show's sake because we never do that. I'm joking.
So it's time for the talk of the town and the news you can snooze to. First up, this manager thing. Manager, shmanager.
You
is what
love
I'm
this
saying.
topic.
I love this topic.
Is there something new on this, Rafa? Because we talk about it every week, it seems.
Yes, I know we talk about it every week, but it keeps festering in the paper, and I can't get past it. So, again, in the newspaper, everybody. So, for those who have not been listening, the village is looking for a new manager because our current manager, John Gilbert, who used to be the fire chief, is going to retire in August or something. So they want to get this new manager. They put out this guy to find new managers all across the country. He got
firm or no?
He got like 5 people, okay? And then Key Biscayner's and maybe he himself started recommending Joe Rasco, who was one of the original founders of the village, and he served on the council. And was he mayor also? I'm not sure.
He was, I think, the third mayor
Oh, there
of
we
Key
go.
Biscayne, and he now has a post I don't understand, but it sounds important with the county.
Miami-Dade.
Yeah.
He is the chief of intergovernmental affairs, which I think links up the different municipalities when they need to talk about stuff. Anyway, so he comes in, everybody's recommending him. I know that there's certain people on the council who don't want somebody that knows anybody in the Key, okay? They want the expert from outside the Key. Then there's other people some of the veterans from the Key who don't want Joe Rasco because they remember him as mayor and they don't like him because of that. Okay? So in the Islander, this keeps playing out of people writing letters in support of Joe Rasco and then people doing rants and raves against him.
Anonymous.
Yes, anonymous. So
What
the people
are-
writing letters, they get their names printed, and the people anonymous, they trash him anonymously, which I think is...
No balls.
That's Bush.
So this is the problem. There's this other thing that happened with the village that I'm not going to... The council, that they tried to do some dirty stuff, okay? I can't get too far into it because it's a little bit of hearsay and it's a little bit, but it pretty much happened. So some dirty stuff to make sure that Joe Rasco would be sidelined. Okay, it didn't really happen, but they are the ultimate authority. They can decide yes or no without having to tarnish the guy's name, right? So the problem with these rants in the Islander is you just don't know who is doing them. Are they doing them on behalf of people on the council? I don't know. Nobody knows. The Islander is being irresponsible, I think, publishing these things.
Well, I'd say I'm all for more lively, opinionated reporting in the Islander. I actually would have to say that's sort of
that's never going to happen.
Something I would very gently criticize them for. But I come to this as an outsider. I do know that small communities have a governance balance to strike, shall we say, not exactly a problem between what our volunteer council and manager do which is generally speaking supposed to be offering sort of guidance and setting sort of general policy goals, but not excessively focused on implementation. But it's hard because that line is blurry, and there's a point that as people become experts and more experienced with these issues on the council, they can very easily stray into busybodying, not because that's necessarily a bad thing, because they actually know about these issues. You have to learn about these things on the council. The process, as I understand it, is the town, as it is wont to do, hired a consultant, a headhunter, who found a bunch of candidates who, based on what little I haven't met them, but what I've read about them, sound interesting, sound qualified. And then, of course, I wouldn't necessarily, it's embarrassing, but it's a little comical that then a local candidate emerges, leading people to wonder what if we just put a classified ad in the paper or posted it on LinkedIn? Would lots of other candidates have emerged, and would we be picking between an even broader slate of possible people?
And not paying a consultant who knows how much.
Well, so that's an interesting... That's like so it's weird how Joe Rasco's name came into the bunch. I'm not even sure. From what I understand, he didn't even put his name in. I don't even know how it works.
There's a guest editorial in the paper, which is one of my small beefs with the paper. Is we don't need quite so many guest editorials, maybe, but those can just be letters to the editor. But recommending
by a former council member.
councilman,
which is fine because at least you know who it is and
Yeah.
But the people who crap on him anonymously, I don't like that. Even though, let me tell you something. I was going to say, the one thing that a lot of people don't know, I know you don't, I don't know how much. Do you guys know Joe Rasco and his politics?
I don't. I was going to, when you were saying stuff about him, I said, what are his policies that people are ranting about?
Integrity, totally fine in that sense, just like anybody else that could be on the council. We've never really had any dirt bags around here or anything like that have gotten into politics or anything. But what Joe Rasco was the kind of guy that was like was property rights 100,000% ahead of everything. Like he would approve another ocean club if it came down to it because they have all the right to build it. You know what I mean? And so when things were happening on the Key in those early years, he was like, they were not going to control any of that stuff. And that was his kind of politics. And I know at least one person that I can think of that was also on the council, I'm pretty sure, at the same time. Another integral person founding on the Key that did not like this type of thing because they wanted to. The whole purpose of incorporating was sort of to protect the Key, or that's how they saw it, especially when the thing of the tennis happened. That was like a catalyst of like, we don't have any control here. And then these guys come into power and they're like, no, we're just going to let everything fly. Which, it made sense at the time, I guess. But in hindsight, I feel like they let development get crazy, and then that's when like your Michael Kelly showed up and stuff like that, and got on council. And we're like, stop this stuff.
Against? What other policies of his are people complaining about?
I don't know if that's even the one that people are complaining about. But
it speaks to the necessity for delineating more clearly the role of the village manager vis-a-vis the council. So the village manager is, as I understand it, an implementation job whose views are considered the same way that yours and mine are, but of no greater.
So this is
importance.
A thing.
And if he's good at the implementation part,
then
that's worth getting a little excited about. And the other stuff is, he's just a citizen like the rest.
So that's what I was going to say. Even though I don't agree with any of those politics of his, pretty much, like I would be much more hands-on of like, no, you can't build this high and whatnot. I don't see what that has to do with being a manager. You know what I mean? Now, if you've got some other kind of problem with them, and the other part I don't get is why they need to trash him in the paper anonymously when the council has the ultimate say. They can just say, "I want the other guy." You know, it's nobody's. I don't think it's going to be that.
I may be behind on my.
One guy called him Donald
news.
Trump or something.
Oh, really? I
did not see that.
I
That's
just
really
read a New Blood. Criticism, which I don't know. In New Blood, housing prices are fairly high on the key. Joe lives here already. That's an argument the other way.
So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up again. We'll see what happens. Some people are getting real. Some people are real riled up about this. I don't think the council's going to get him.
Is there a timeline for this? I mean, when is John?
Yeah, they want him. They want him the new manager by June, so that he can he can shadow John, and they have the new budgets, and they can all work together.
So it's going to be up to the council to pick somebody.
Yeah.
And we will. I don't mean to jump ahead in your agenda, but we will all have an opportunity to meet.
So that's funny. Yeah, on this Thursday, there's a meet and greet at the yacht club with all the manager candidates.
I think it's the beach club, isn't it?
Really? Oh
well.
We will find out.
If you go to one and it's not there, go to the other.
Go to the other one. I like your solution. Like, we're going to find out. No, that's you guys find out.
From 6 to 7:30.
Mike Davies listening right now. Mike, if you know, can you type that in the chat? Is it at the beach club or the yacht club on Thursday, please?
And if you do go and you meet all of them, make sure to tell them just how dysfunctional the council really is.
Oh, whoa.
I'm sure these are people who are looking for a job. That's something they're going to be engaged with you, not.
All right. Let's go to something a little more lighthearted. The entrance block. The entrance block, that
is that more lighthearted?
Block where the Stefanos used to be.
Oh, we have a caller, maybe, or maybe it's one of those stupid insurance companies calling. Yeah, right.
Hold on, you guys keep talking a second. Hello?
So
the entrance block, I mean, Billy, I don't know how long you've not been listening to this show, but the entrance block has been a topic of discussion.
I have to declare an interest or a conflict, which is that that the owner of the entrance block.
Before you get into that, we got a call on the last thing.
What?
Don't forget.
Right. Okay, Kali, you're on. What's up?
How you doing?
Good. Do you want to say your name? You don't. Well, if you're going to trash the guy, you have to.
Is it Joe Rasco?
No, this is an anonymous rant and rave.
I think we all recognize that voice.
You were spot on. I mean, I think the problem. It's Mike Davey. Sorry.
Hey, Mike.
50 Ocean Lane Drive. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Right. Yay, welcome.
But no, you were spot on. I think that I'm not really comfortable with all the politicking going on by residents. I think the former council members weighing in either way is completely fair, but I don't think this has to be up to the council. They have to make their decision based on the best candidate as they see it. They're the sitting council.
Yeah. And I mean, really, is it really going to give them so much blowback if they vote for a different guy? I mean, do people they're going to get so hung up?
I don't know about that. I can tell you, look, I like Joe Rasco. I'll tell you, full disclosure. Joe's, I think he's a good guy. I think he's got a lot of the qualities that we need. I am of the mind that we need somebody who's going to be here and be committed to Key Biscayne. Joe's got all the qualities I think we need in a manager, and he's committed to this village, and so that's why I support him. That said, I've met other candidates. I just recently met Andrea Aga. I thought she's got a lot of good qualities. I think she's definitely a legitimate candidate, and I think we do have to lead it. We all can have our own opinion.
Okay, but it's fine if he doesn't get it too, right? I mean, it's not that big. Is it that big?
Of course.
These people are all qualified, right?
No, absolutely. I think Aga is very qualified. My personal feelings about the others, I know Lawson left, but I think we need to let the process play out. I'm not comfortable with all of the let's call them public input that's going on anonymously. I think if you're going to be for or against somebody, come out and say it. If you want to put it out there, but put your name behind it. We all have a responsibility for our opinions.
What about the guy from Moscow? That was kind of a weird pick, right?
What's that?
The guy from Moscow. That was kind of a weird one, right?
What Moscow?
Okay, thanks for the call, Mike.
Oh, that was a shitty joke.
Later.
Somebody else called. I don't want to get into... Oh, they're calling back. They're calling back.
Sisters.
We have a second call. That's two more calls than we've had in the last 6
Hello,
months.
caller.
Hello, caller.
Oh,
Hey, caller.
Who are you?
What's up?
Hey, I'd like to talk to you guys about all the trash that people are leaving. People are throwing a lot of trash out of the window where I live, and I don't know what to do with it. I tried to get my neighbors to try and help out, but nobody really wants to help out. I've tried to pass out brooms, shovels, even mops.
I can't hear a word of this.
No one wants to even mop along the road.
How do you think we can incorporate mops into cleaning up our town?
Well, I think a lot of people, they like to have fun. They like to have sex on the beach, and the mops can come in handy to mop up.
All right. This isn't funny enough. Thanks, caller. But thanks for calling.
Are we friends with him?
Just now,
Yeah?
So when did the new marijuana laws go into effect?
They didn't really. What?
Oh, okay.
But I keep seeing weed.
I just
We did talk about that.
Made me.
Okay.
I think I recognize that area code. He does not live on the key.
Let's get back on topic.
But we don't mind you listening, buddy.
Okay, the entrance block. Okay, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, so just to declare an interest, Eric Sulavi owns Entrance Blocks, and his wife are friends of mine, and my wife at one point worked with him on trying to come up with plans for the entrance block. So that, depending on your point of view, either makes me a very knowledgeable expert or an extremely biased.
Okay,
Both.
So with
Can I just say
that filter,
We like it.
let me just say what's going on and why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
So apparently they are willing to sell it again. It kind of came up before, but it's back on the council could buy it right now, and now they're seeking an appraisal, and they're seeking an appraisal that takes into consideration that you couldn't build a Walgreens there because the traffic and all that stuff, so it would have to be kind of like a low impact, and they want an appraisal that takes that into mind. And I don't know if you have knowledge on actual numbers, but I was going to ask you guys what you think that is worth for us to pay as taxpayers to get that whole...
Well, I mean, I'll just say I think the number that it was purchased for, I think, is widely known. But
What was that for our listeners, Billy?
Well, I could be wrong. I thought am I right? Was 17? Is that the figure?
I had heard 15 and change, but it could have been 17.
So in that range, and it seems very likely if the assessment presumes that no Walgreens can be built, that the value will be lower. And I think what the village has to decide is that what's the intangible value of the risk of something being built there, someone else paying that amount for it that you don't want.
Yeah.
So, some people have said they would be happy with a marijuana dispensary or an adult sex shop at the entry block. Others have said, no thanks. But
2 in 1.
But I think the more realistic question is, I don't think anything's going to be built there without the council's approval, and the town's approval. But there is an intangible value to the fact that that's the entry block that will probably not be reflected in that assessment, and that's something I think the town should take into account.
Absolutely.
That's a unique parcel.
Absolutely.
There is an incredible opportunity there. And I don't know if it exists in the world of retail. It might be in some sort of a civic structure. We've talked about that as a place for the cultural center. If we reorganize this library arrangement, which I know some people want, putting in a traffic circle at the entry to the village, really making a dramatic entrance to the village that would have unbelievable value for all of us who live here. but that value will probably not be reflected in an assessment and will largely consist of intangibles.
Was there an assessment when it was sold the first time? Do they do an assessment?
I mean, it was a private deal. So he made it.
They may have had one, but
they decided what it was worth. And what
did they do
it
a contingent on building a Walgreens there? Or?
I mean, I think he knew when he bought it from this guy,
Commodore Realty.
Max.
I think the relationship. It seems like prior to Blue Jay buying it had been fairly poisonous.
Yeah.
So I don't think that was ever going to go anywhere. You needed somebody to come in and sort of break up the ice there.
Yeah.
And it ties into the library discussion, which is ongoing. The library, for anybody just needs to be my brief primer on it. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Is in the structure that was formerly the Key Biscayne, the Key Colony Sales Office. So it's not purpose built for a library. It's fine. But it definitely could be better, and that is owned by the county and is designated as it must be for a library. Those are the terms under which it was given. Now we all pay or homeowners pay a library tax, which generates a fair amount of money, and there are those who suggested taking all of that money, and there's a way that the numbers maybe work out and buy the entry block. I'm not for that because part of that is money we kick in for the
library system,
for the Miami-Dade library system.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
So I'm okay with raking back what we have as our own, but I'm not in favor of starving system. But there's still money there to be used, and Key Colony, as we all know, could use another entrance. So is there a complicated deal complicated but not too complicated for our new, very talented village manager that we're getting in town council, where the library goes back to Key Colony, they build another entrance, some of the library money comes to us to build a cultural
Who pays for the second Key Colony entrance?
On the entry block.
If the library, if that all goes into play, who
lives in Key Colony?
I live in. I own in Key Colony.
You don't want a second entrance? You don't have to pay. What if you?
The money's been going up for a long time. The maintenance fees, but yeah.
What if he can't sell it? Man, that's even more interesting because you can. It's kind of easy. Well, it's not easy, but you could think of a lot of things to do if the village bought it. But you can't really think of a lot of good things to do if you're going to get this traffic problem.
I have a good plan.
If you own it and you got to do something commercial.
I mean, why wouldn't the village buy it?
Huh? Because it's too much money?
I mean, they have money, don't they?
I think it's with
the priorities.
Yeah, it's just a matter of what the priorities are. The village is going to spend money on various things.
Burying power lines.
New street signs.
And I'm on the task force for the burying the power lines, and there are lots of projects, many of them very worthy. There's obviously competition for the public dollar. We know that. So it's a question of of thinking about what you don't want to have happen, right? Do you like it the way it is now? That could continue for a while, right? It was 3 derelict buildings for a decade. Would you like it if it were a busy commercial center? Would you like it if it was a cultural center? Would you like it if it was a park? So I think that's the way we kind of need to look at it, and which of those things are likely to happen. In terms of actually spending the money on it, to me, from what I understand, it seems within the villages, within the realm of possibility, shall we say, for the village.
I think everyone would like if a replica of the old Stephanos was built out, and we could go back and play some pool in the dark
Stephanos
little.
in the playhouse.
Oh man, yeah. Well, seriously though, I'm sad I was too young for that. I went only a few times, and I'm sad that it went away during my
concern
golden
is that
years.
They buy it, and then we're still looking at an eyesore for the next. How long has 530 been there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
we can't figure out what to do.
They can't decide.
Once
you
make
it
civic property, it comes off the tax roll. So that's another thing about it. That maybe limits your capacity to buy other things in the future. But we're talking about expanding the community center. There's this consensus that the community center is somehow too small. If you think about taking some of those functions, shifting them over to another building, putting a library in, putting in a theater, I don't think we're ever going to get a multiplex on the Key. But if we talk about things for teenagers to do, Might be a nice way to show movies, and it could be nicely landscaped. It could be a lovely, great thing. It's not a business.
Yeah.
You know, so that's sort of I think the fact that everybody would have to be kind of signed on.
I wonder what they would build and if they would build it.
Yeah, a movie theater is not a bad idea. I went to Brickell City Center over the weekend, and I spent like $180 going to the movies with my son.
People would love a movie theater in the Key.
I think a movie theater would be so great and good for everybody.
You know, I don't think there's. I can't say this for certain, and anybody who knows should definitely call it and correct me. But there's no interest in an exhibitor. There's just not enough people here, and not enough volume of business. You could have a small movie theater like Carlgate.
It would definitely have to be a small one, not like a
But exhibition of movies has been a terrible business for.
I feel like it would have to be like some sort of non-profit movie theater. It wouldn't be like a.
Yeah, and you could do that.
And you could do that exactly, and charge like $5 or something on Thursday night.
Cameo Theater in St. Helena. They show movies during the day.
Exactly. It would have to be something like that. It's definitely not an AMC Regal Cinema situation.
And a Playhouse.
Do they have the gas station too?
Yeah, they own the mobile station.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh man.
Oh, they own the gas station?
I don't know if I would want to see just one gas station on the Key.
No, definitely.
No, we need.
No, definitely not.
Come on. I mean, you think you want gas to? Nobody wants gas to be even.
Man, remember the good old days when
the Amoco.
They used to have a gas station on this side
where the Curry's building is now. Huh?
Yeah, they had 2 gas stations in Midtown, Billy. I mean, those were the days.
They used to sell booze to under 21-year-olds.
How many gas stations there were, and it was half the people. You had.
There was a Texaco over here. There was the hardware store. There was one.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I think it's a separate topic. I think the business climate, and you should have other people on talk about this, and the Key is kind of tough.
Yeah,
of course.
The rents are so high.
It's hard to find people to work. The margins are slender. Real estate's expensive.
It doesn't make sense to add another.
Part of all of this, I think, is just thinking about, what we can all do to be supportive of that, other than patronizing local businesses, which I'm sure we all do. But is adding more retail space essentially adds more competition to a market that, as best I think we can tell by the business that goes on here, isn't really needed.
But is that a thing of just high rents?
Part of it.
Well, I don't know. I know it's hard to it's hard to find labor because rents are high.
Yeah.
Well, what kinds of services are you missing? Like, I think that it's pretty well covered right now. Think about like what else? What other store or restaurant would you really want?
I was saying the prices are high because rents are really high, and that makes it very risky to do business because you got to
take away the rent aspect, which is the main aspect. Do you want anything else? Like, do you need anything else? Really?
No, if anything.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's enough.
Here's the other way to ask the question: what do you go off island for?
Movies,
leisure,
Trader Joe's, the Cornhole Foods, Fresh Market,
bars.
Bars.
Yeah.
There's that question.
Stephanos needs to come back and come full circle. We need a.
There is a Stephanos.
Wow.
Yeah.
By the way, whoever was the friend that we had call in and told us when is it going to open? Because it was going to be
the Stephanos nightclub.
Yeah,
right.
we had the.
Right, we had
save
that thought. Save that thought.
Save
that thought.
Yeah.
Let's
all right. Well, let's.
But I want to cover it.
What do we got?
This one's a little more. This one's even tougher. Jesus.
Oh Lord.
Okay, I'll try and lighten this up. Okay, I told you guys last week. So a week and a half ago, a kid was hit on a bike crossing Crandon. Okay, at the Village Green, because the person ran a yellow light and hit this kid. And they all went to the hospital. Horrible. The guy was cited. Everybody's okay, from what I understand.
And it was a motorcycle.
But right that same day, a group chat was created, a WhatsApp group chat, and it was about what do we do? Pedestrian safety. Oh my God. Okay. And then when I got into the group chat, it was like 20 people, and it seemed manageable. It was like, oh, we got some good heads in here. We're actually gonna get something done.
Progress.
Like 2 hours later, there was 200 people, and and people were hysterical. It was really funny. And one of the things I even said was like, I don't think right now is the time to react to this because it just happened and we don't know anything. People were like, nah, you're wrong. It's time for me to talk. Anyway, one of the things that kept coming up is that the cops don't do enough on this island. So that kept happening. And then this past Thursday night, a Range Rover and some Jeeps, apparently 4 cars total, were stolen on the Key. And one of the people came into this chat, which was supposed to be about pedestrian safety, but they were like, hey, look, I want to talk about my car being stolen instead. So I went into that, and then I started talking about that and whatever, and then it was like, hey, and the cops haven't helped me at all. And I'm just thinking, like, I mean, there's no way. That's like the biggest case the cops ever had on this island.
How 4 Range Rovers?
Yeah, come on.
I left the chat.
That's like
right
they're going to
away.
send every detective in the department to figure this out. So I didn't believe it, but this is a thing that keeps happening. People keep thinking that the cops aren't doing enough, and so I want to ask a couple things. Number one, I do question sometimes. I don't question it in the sense that I don't doubt that they are doing their jobs and doing them well, but I do wonder, like, where are the cops when I can't see them, like on the streets? Like, obviously, there's not always going to be one on Crandon, but you would think, like, anecdotally, you would see them. I don't know. You would see them a little more, but you don't. I'll give those people that.
What you need to, how many police officers are on duty at any moment?
Right.
That's what you need to know. So are there 4 or are there 14?
I'm not sure.
I think the answer, and somebody, Chief Press wasn't on the chat, but somebody had quoted him as saying that there was something like 5 policemen on duty at the Key at any given time.
Okay.
So there's your answer.
That sounds about right.
How many cops do we have, Rafa?
Oh, that I don't know.
I think it's like 30, 34.
Yeah.
To me, it's who sets the priorities for the police. So the police are professionals of policing, and they have an idea about how they should be deployed. And I bet pretty much everywhere in the United States there are citizens who sort of have issues that there's a lot of anecdotal response to all this that's very, very personal. Why weren't there any police there when this bad thing happened to me?
Which is,
and that's not super useful information. It does help you kind of gauge the emotional climate, which is something that police have to be mindful of and have to respond to. But my feeling about a lot of this is, well, what is exactly the scope and extent of the problem? Someone's hit by a car, a motorcycle. I think we all feel, well, that should simply never happen. But it's an accident. It's a busy street. Do we have more accidents and more injuries of this type on Crandon than we should?
And I want to add, because everybody already knows this, but not only it was a motorcycle that was, I guess, behind the cars that did stop. So that adds something to it. It's not like he was seeing the yellow light. He made a mistake. That was a wrong thing to do.
I will say we should reserve judgment until we know for sure. But it sounds like, and just for purposes of discussion, we can say there are always going to be people who are going to do crazy, reckless things in traffic.
A cop being there wouldn't have.
And I'm not totally sure what we do to stop that particular problem. That said, I think there is stuff. There's sort of a constructive chat about whether or not the crosswalks on Crandon are properly organized from a traffic standpoint, and that definitely may be
that's a little different. That's something that we'll wait till that meeting comes and see what happens and what people decide on ultimately to do about the crosswalks. Something will be done at this meeting on May 30th. But what I'm more interested in
the policing,
not even in the
bashing of the police.
The bashing of the police and people's perception of the police. I was talking to Theo, and he was like, they're just getting hounded from every side. The chief is, and he's probably like thinking, he's just like.
Well, the thing is, though, I have some degree of, obviously the police talk about, well, when we, and yet when we stop people, we get yelled at, or when we take, take people's kids home to their parents instead of the parents yelling at the kids, the parents yell at the cops. But if you're not up for a little bit of hostility on occasion in your work life, you're probably not cut out for police work.
I like that.
I don't know. Police being yelled at is going to sort of slide a little bit lower on my list than a lot of other things that I might be worried about the police.
Like if you're the booter, you're going to get yelled at.
I think that the police know a lot more than what people think they know is going on in Key Biscayne.
Oh, I do too, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, think of what you know just from your WhatsApp chats and whatever other nonsense that you listen to every day. The police know what's going on. I think they know what's going on. And the leader of our police force is a very, he's a guy who's in the know.
He's sharp.
He's a sharp guy. He's in the know. He's a collaborator. He's accessible. He gives people his cell phone number. So, I'm sure a lot of people contact him directly as well with what's going on. So, I think people know, I think the police officers know what's going on the Key. I think 5 is a good number to have. I think that they're pretty responsive. We've talked about stories here where there's been break-ins in homes with actual intruders in the house and the police showing up and then,
it makes me wonder what people... Well, how people expect the police to be. That's really what.
Well, you'll know what people say, which is that this emotional, understandable, but very unhelpful thing, which is one traffic injury is too many. One break-in is too many. And so, well, of course, if one traffic injury is too many, we can lower the speed limit on Crandon to 1 mile an hour, and then we'll have none, and we can enforce that. There are obvious limits. We can have we can spend 130% of our budget on having a giant police force that stands in front of everyone's house. But there's some kind of a reasonable, rational response to all this. It's data-driven. That I will say, at the same time, is deeply unsatisfying to people because it feels bloodless and like you're sort of making a calculation about people's lives and something like that human beings are understandably uncomfortable with.
I think we're starting to see vigilantes on the Key as well. I saw a post on Key Biscayne Pad Parking obviously has its own, passive-aggressive vigilante component. And maybe not so passive-aggressive. But
I have
somebody
a feeling
posted,
the people who park badly are not looking at Key Biscayne bad parking. I'll just say because
they don't give a shit.
Somebody posted on Key Biscayne bad parking the other day about it's 10 o'clock. I'm at CVS and I see these teenagers walking around with their backpacks.
Okay.
WTF teenagers are teenagers doing it, walking around at 10 o'clock anyway. Where are their parents?
Oh my God. On the Key Biscayne bad parking?
So I approached them and I said, do you have eggs in those bags? What's in the bags? Do you have eggs in those bags? Because this person had been a victim of egging. Mm-hmm. That's not cool.
Victim of egging.
It is a rite of passage for teenagers, and certainly has been on the Key for many years.
Detergent in the fountain, that I know has been a tradition for
yeah, and toilet papering, back in the 50s and stuff too. So.
Okay.
But so she approached them, and these teenagers were like, who's this person, And so, what do you think they did? They ran, They're like, I'm out of here.
I don't want to talk to you.
Running. Yeah. Who's this crazy lady who's, trying to ask me if I have eggs in my bag, So she posted it at 10:08, and I know this person. She's a good person. She's had her car egged, and she's upset about unruly teenagers. And the week before, there was a big fight in the CVS parking lot, and kids are generally
being kids.
They're being disrespectful. I mean, they used to call them key rats here on the Key. They were beer drinking, pot smoking, vandals who like to get into fights. Nothing's changed.
So this is funny because this goes to I think there's a perception problem of just how many people there are on the Key every day, and so it's not such a quaint little town anymore. It still is geographically because it's only a mile square. Yeah. But going back to the traffic thing too, it's if you told people the data of how many people are on that road every day, it's gotta be tens of thousands.
It's a busy road, but it also speaks to just the general thing of who's against sort of knowing what's really going on? And I think you should hear about this from the police, but if the fact that we have an extremely low crime rate here on the Key doesn't provide an incentive to hire more policemen, to provide more overtime, and which are understandable priorities of police departments, not because they're bad people, but because that we're not paying them enough as it is. So the question of whether or not we're well policed, I would say, is something that we could probably learn a lot more by having a real clear understanding. And I've mentioned this to many people. I mentioned it here on the air. I think we ought to have the police blotter in the paper. I'm not sure why we don't.
Oh,
It seems we
had it.
I'm doing that job now.
Hanging fruit, for the newspaper to publish something.
We
everybody
did.
would like to see.
It was a
And
weekly
I think
thing.
part of the problem was it showed that there was so little crime here that people became anxious that we might sort of ease up on our policing as a result.
So, first of all,
Guess who wanted to get rid of the police blotter? I mean, who's the biggest supporter of the Islander News?
Real estate companies?
Yeah. I don't want a police blotter in the
Well,
no, it's not
the
such a
Islander News
conspiracy,
has
guys.
to be maybe a little less beholden
Okay,
to the
stop.
to real estate.
I'll tell you two things, okay? First of all, I did Police Blotter on the show last week. It was fun.
It's our favorite part of the newspaper, or you used to be.
And how did I get Police Blotter? I went over to the police station and I asked them for the police reports, and they gave them to me right there, no problem. And how did I find out that you could just go to the police station and ask for police reports? Because I talked to Kelly at the Islander, and she said the reason we don't do it anymore is because you can't take the reports with you, so you got to transcribe them or copy them or whatever. And
the Islander's not local at all.
And so they don't
not have a telephone with a camera.
They don't have anybody to go there anymore.
That's pathetic.
Okay, that's your Islander News,
That's pathetic.
which is not from the island anymore. So they don't have anybody who can
That's
go there
absurd.
anymore.
Billy, you
absurd.
missed your calling, man.
So anyway, I've been doing
Scanner
it, and
of police report.
I went last month, and then I went twice last week, and I couldn't get together with the person who's got them. But I'll keep getting them and doing them on the show. Now, so that goes to your point of you think that people should see more.
Well, I think
More
because if you just
crime.
hear about, we're not talking about the crimes that didn't happen last week. We're talking about, the Range
one-
Rovers that were stolen and stuff.
Yeah.
And there are crimes periodically on the key. I don't want to say our crime rate is zero.
Whose crime rate is zero?
Well,
that's pretty.
The thing you can kind of think about as a little bit of a thought experiment is, well, what would our crime rate? What's our natural crime rate on the key, right? Because the crimes that happen are crimes that are not prevented. Hopefully, they're crimes that are solved. But are the police? How many crimes are the police preventing? And of course, you don't know that.
Yeah, it's impossible.
You can never know that.
Yeah.
But in looking around, probably one's guess would be that it's not that many.
So another thing that I have always, I started thinking about this right when at the turn of 2000 or whatever, and the Ocean Club had come up, and we were all talking about density and stuff like that, remember? And then the council passed an ordinance that says you have to have a public vote if you're going to increase density on the island, okay? So now it used to be up to the council if they wanted to approve a building with higher density. Now it has to go to the voters, okay? I think that was Mike Kelly who spearheaded that. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he was the one who led the charge on that. But at the time, I remember thinking to myself that I was always going to write this letter to the Islander explaining just why the population going up is such a problem. And really, it's a thing of... So everybody does, jerk things every once in a while. Okay? Everybody's a jerk every once in a while.
Why are you looking at me, man?
And when there's
Surprised he wasn't
when
looking
there's
at me.
8,000 people in a 1 mile radius, maybe the chances of running into somebody being a jerk is like 1 in 100. When you double that and you don't increase the land, you're just going to run into more jerks. It's just math.
Not so much jerks. People doing their
one time,
once a week, once a month, once a day, once a lifetime bad thing of driving through the flashing
exactly.
crosswalk.
Why are you looking at me, Bill?
Behind.
And so I think a lot of people are still living.
But also, sorry, keep going.
Like if this is the tiniest town, and I feel like not only has density gone up, but also as property values have gone up, it means that all of our all of the people who work on the island are also from off the island.
The motorcyclist wasn't
it's also been
resident.
that. So it's like, yeah, of course not. But they weren't a worker. But I'm just saying, we bring in a lot of people from off the island to work, and the richer you are, the more likely I think that you're going to hire somebody to work on something. I mean, I remember when I was growing up, it was a different story. People would mow their own lawns and stuff like that on this island. I didn't have any more. And we had our own electricians that lived on the island. We had AC guys who lived on the island. All this stuff. Those guys don't live here anymore. So as property values go up, you need more people from off the key to come and do these jobs. The jerk quotient just keeps going against us.
But it's not a jerk quotient. I mean, those people have been priced out here, and their time is money for them, unlike the rest of us. You know, time is money for FedEx and Postmates and electricians and plumbers. It's understandable that they might want to, speed things along on Crandon. Also, lest we forget, Crandon is a major, thoroughfare to Bill Baggs and back the other way toward Crandon Park. So, I mean, it's a busy street for us. I would be in favor of a more visible police presence there and shifting police resources and reassigning patrol duties. Again, not a police expert, but I think simply a visible presence would do a lot to kind of address this sort of hubbub of
they're not doing
idiosyncratic anecdotal concerns that are about sort of specific injuries. And why not? But I will tell you, the one thing I seem to get very little traction on is my posts about the cell phone law.
Oh, you're not. See, that's but that's so far.
But even less traction. Posts about the fact that all of us in Florida, can beat our tickets. Tickets have have no consequence here in Florida. Yeah. We all call. I won't mention their names because they're not sponsors of the show, but maybe one day. As soon as we get a ticket, and that law seems extremely unlikely to be reformed. And the cell phone law, where Florida is one of 13 states or something that don't forbid cell phone use in the car. It's really a backward policy. It gives the police a reason to stop people for
only
as
a secondary offense.
Now it's a secondary offense, but the legislature's had the option, has had a bill to make it a primary offense every year, and they've come close to passing it this last year. Maybe they will, but I do find a slightly deafening silence when I bring that up, because to your point, we all use the cell phone in the car. We all do that bad thing.
Every time someone's driving a little bit weird and I look in the freaking window, they're on the cell phone. Yeah. It's really scary.
And if they're not, they're looking down at WhatsApp.
And you know what's funny?
It's scary.
Or Waze.
Is that the places that pass the laws, then everybody just gets the little hook up in their car, and then suddenly
which is fine.
It's like it's just the same. You can still look at your phone, but it's like everything is hooked up to the microphones. No, the microphones are hooked up in your car.
All it is, you have to have a hands-free thing. Key Biscayne residents can afford that. Let's face it, it's not expensive. But so if you really want to do something about traffic on the Key, call our legislators, tell them to pass the law next time around, and it very well may happen, and it would change things pretty dramatically.
I think so, too.
And while you're at it, vote for weed to be legal. I just think it's absurd that nobody votes.
All right, Rob.
I'm just trying to stay true to Rat Radio.
I like it. Oh, man, I don't even smoke anymore, but...
Weed should be legal.
Okay, calendar.
Are my parents listening?
Thursday, May 24th. That manager candidate meet and greet at either the beach club or the yacht club from 6 to 7:30. Then there's on Wednesday, May 30th, the consequences of arrests for minors and the traffic safety that we were just talking about will be discussed.
Is that going to be broadcast on the government channel?
From 6 to 8 p.m. I don't know.
We should probably have a watch party for that.
On Saturday, June 16th, on June 3rd, which I just got sent this, there's another meet and greet, but at the council
I get
chamber.
The same message. That's the official meet and greet.
Yeah, which makes me wonder.
The one on Thursday is arranged by another group.
Well, see, this is something that goes back to like the conspiracy crap. Conspiracy. The Islander posted the unofficial meet and greet, and it said there was only 5 managerial candidates going to be there. But apparently there's like 8 of them. So
the Islander could be wrong?
They could be wrong.
How many people are attending? Or 230? There's 230 manager candidates.
Or these people that don't want... It could be like the Ass Club grab their 5 favorite candidates and are doing a little thing. I don't know. If anybody goes to those manager candidate meet and greets, let us know. I probably will not.
I can't wait till next week's radio show.
I don't really care, but I will get the scoop. I'm sure Theo will go to all these things.
We should just have Theo on.
I'm planning on being there. I think
oh yeah, perfect, Billy. You're coming back next
At least
week.
I'll, it's keep a skin. At least I'll see people I know and like if I don't get to talk to any managers.
Is there booze there? I'm sorry. I'm sounding like this weird degenerate today. I know.
Weed, booze.
Weed
Actually,
and booze.
I should go just to tell them all this crap that we've... Hey, listen to my show. Saturday, June 16th, the Portela Memorial Tournament, give or take an inch, at the Key Biscayne Yacht Club. The captain's meeting is the Thursday before that.
Top 3, maybe top 5 party every year.
Yes.
Ask those guys what they think about all this crap.
The fishing tournament's at the yacht club, then the party is at the beach club afterwards,
It's so fun.
starting at like 6 o'clock. Get out there. And then on Wednesday, July 4th is the 4th of July.
Whoop, whoop. You're
Parade.
so dorky.
I'm going to miss that.
Yeah, we all invested a lot in the Calusa Club float, by the way. So I want to... Don't tell me, but I'm just telling you, expectations are running very, very, very high, Rafa.
You guys want to ride on it? I've told everybody this.
No,
bring the
there should
kids.
be no
bring everything.
room for us on it as the
Who's going to throw the water balloons?
Ponce de Leon gets squirted with the margarita Fountain of Youth.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
But to anybody who hasn't, the parade has a $1,500 prize for homemade float, for best homemade, and a $500 prize for best golf cart or decorated bike or bicycle group. We're really trying to encourage people from the Key to join the thing and do their own thing, okay? Whoever here is listening that goes to the parade, I can't stress how much more fun it is to ride in the parade than to watch it. It's worlds more fun. It's just something else.
He also
especially
stressed it last week.
I did? Yeah.
Yes.
So if you've never been in the parade, it's just a lot more fun. I mean, obviously, let's pretend that you have a good time on the sides. If you don't, then...
It's pretty much fun on the side, too.
Yeah. But imagine that
Has
same
Ralph ever
crew...
been on the side? No,
that same crew, and you're riding through the parade, and then people are coming up to you like you got candy and stuff, and you just throw something at their face. It's hilarious.
It's a sentimental
Ride
experience
through
for
the
us.
thing.
It's my daughter's birthday, but it was the first weekend I ever spent on Key Biscayne.
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
And I just felt like I was sitting in a tanning bed.
That's the
So
thing.
unbelievably hot.
The heat and sweat is part of it. It's part of it.
Kids like, isn't this great? And they were sort of like,
They're like,
Were you watching or
we
riding?
hate you.
No, we were riding. We were watching. They were semi,
Yeah, well, there's a shade spot,
melting.
Billy.
comatose. And I thought, what have we gotten into? And,
What are we doing
and
here?
5 years later, I'm really looking forward to it. I should mention also Monday is Memorial Day. I don't know what exactly the American Legion is doing, but I'm sure it'll be something nice and something simple. And I think that's a nice opportunity for us all to get out as a town with a little different, vibe than some of the other things we do.
Cool.
Did you not talk about the poppy selling thing?
Poppy? Oh,
Poppy.
for Memorial Day?
Yeah.
Where are they selling
Hey,
poppies?
by the way, did you talk
Oh, what
about the
exactly?
farmers market last week, or is that?
Oh, yeah, we
just,
talked-
that
We
just-
did talk
That's just
about
come and
it.
gone. Okay,
So
fine.
that's
just like a giant,
Problem solved.
never mind.
we broke
Never mind.
we broke
Speaking
that
of,
news.
She just had her anniversary. Did you see that?
Did you know it was like personal beef that made that whole thing happen? It was like one
BCP,
guy.
don't say it on the air. Just whisper.
Oh,
It was. Whoa, really?
Oh, we talked about that. Yeah.
Him, her?
No.
man, he's ready for it.
Anyway, I called the day of the show, which was last Monday, my contact over at the church, and he was like, "We got it all sorted out." So we broke the news here before anybody did, and he was like, "Look, somebody had it out for me, and we got it all squared from a long time ago. We got it all squared away, and now we got our little permit and whatever."
All right,
It's
so
all
that
set.
to me is that was a good thing about Key Biscayne thing. There was some understandable bureaucratic confusion. Town went completely bananas,
Yeah.
and it's all fixed.
Yeah.
So as long as we're talking about dysfunction and things we don't like, let's take a moment to appreciate that.
Well, I love that kind of like small town hokey stuff. That's like I love that kind of stuff for the island. I know some people get a little bit annoyed, like, oh yeah, I can't believe I have to see everybody I know everywhere I go. I kind of like that stuff, and
well,
I don't
don't
really
live here then. I mean,
yeah.
What's the surprise?
I know. And I just take it like I don't
There
care.
are lots of awkward moments.
I don't care anymore. You know. Like,
Have you ever cared? No.
There's
It
sometimes
just
where
depends
you're
on
like,
what you're doing. What are you doing you don't want people to see
Well,
you doing?
when there are certain situations you don't just want to see people. But then you go anyway and you see
you
them
look
and
all
you're like,
this.
I think it's
"Hide."
just it's a product of more familiarity with more connectivity
Yeah.
through technology.
I've definitely hid behind some aisles at CVS. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Nobody? No.
you know,
Now you see somebody and you're like, oh yeah, that's the fucking douchebag
There's a
that always posts on
wonderful-
Key Biscayne bad parking, or that's the that's the person who
Actually,
No, I usually hide from. I used to hide from parents when I was a teenager.
I have developed a very cordial way saying hi to people and saying bye at the exact same time.
Oh, you don't kiss them. You just hi and walk.
No. I
You
even
wave.
kiss them.
Oh,
Like,
I don't kiss them anyway. I just wave.
I do like the whole conversation because I know neither of us want to do small talk in that whole moment. You know, like we're walking by on the sidewalk, somebody's like doing their little gym or taking the dog out. They're not looking to talk to
So
me.
what do you do?
Hey, how's it going? Oh, great to see you. And I just make this like kind of little move where I cut it short, and they notice that I'm cutting it short.
the key.
But it's just you just cut it short, and I don't pretend because really I am happy to see you in town, but I got nothing to say right now.
but
I'm doing something else.
it's such a great
That's
key,
good enough.
key subject because Latin American cultures are very much more chit chat oriented. I just say
Really?
as an Anglo-Saxon, we're very transactional. We don't expect to discuss people's children or
kiss
or the weather, or no kiss, and. What I've realized about being here is at first I thought, wow, this is kind of tough. Like I have to kiss someone I don't know and then make conversation. But you don't. There's certain kinds of opt-outs that I've detected over the years, and I now occasionally use myself, which are perfectly friendly and permissible.
Yes.
But kind of like I do have something else to do, and you probably do too. Mm-hmm. People aren't as sad that you're.
They are not.
sitting and
They are
talking to
definitely
them as
not.
maybe
Unless
might
you.
think.
It's like some kind of like chatty Cathy who's
Or
like
your
sort of
friend.
yeah, or it's like like a good friend, and you'll ask them.
There's
huh?
some
Which
lonely,
is so funny
there's
though.
some-
When you see a very good friend out on the street, it's funny.
there's some
Sometimes I do
lonely
that to them
people
too.
on the key, but we
Yeah.
can also spare a little time.
I think we just nailed next week's key hack.
Oh, so great.
I like that.
Different key greetings. Also, one cheek versus two.
Well,
That's like you just go with the flow. The only thing you can't do is just don't
Make
ever
out?
not acknowledge the people because that just is a recipe for awkwardness. Always acknowledge the people, say hi, and get
But I
out
have
and be
this-
like, hey, I gotta go, or even if you don't have to go, hey, I'm gonna keep walking. Like I don't have anything to talk about right now.
I have
I'm
face
gonna walk.
blindness, so I can't recognize people. So I overdo it, which is what I think a lot of people do. As soon as I realize I know you, but I don't remember who you are, I like it's too effusive. And then they'll, and I can tell it's kind of going wrong, and then I keep sort of pushing away at it. Yeah, so that sort of happens a lot.
That's smart, Billy. Next time they see you, they're like, "Fuck, there's
inevitably
Billy.
in
Let's
this
get out of
small
town.
town.
Just
Yeah.
wave and go. Just keep walking."
Or
No, and if I do know your name, believe me, I will Dale Carnegie style. I'll use it 7 times in the conversation, like I'm trying to sell you
hilarious.
aluminum
I wish
siding
Jonathan
or
was
something,
here.
or something
I
like
wish
that.
Jonathan was here.
And then every so often I'll find out that it was the wrong name.
Oh, that's bad.
But people are too polite. To
Oh,
say,
man.
like, no, actually,
You're trying to show off something you don't even know. It's called fake not knowing you. Like, oh God, Rafa fake not knowed me at Winn-Dixie last night.
Oh no, I hate that's you can't do
Oh
that.
God, the fake not knowing
That's
is
bad.
the worst.
Don't ever not acknowledge a person you know.
Don't ever
Even
fake not know people.
Especially if you make eye contact. Come on, you're just.
And
that's
also,
bad.
like by the way, how many of us wave to people on the key we don't know? On the golf cart, like all the time,
Hey.
All the
right?
time.
Because
I hear the beep, I'm
they're
just like,
giving us a
Yeah, Manny was
look
getting all the-
like, do
Manny
I
was
know
getting all
you? And you're giving do I know you? And then we're going to hell with it. We'll just wave at each other with no harm done.
Or are you on the radio? Oh.
That's cool when you get that.
I've
That's
gotten it a
definitely
few
cool when you
times,
get
and
that.
it's
Well,
fun.
I'd like to acknowledge you, Billy, right now. Thanks for coming on the show. Next week we have you and Alexa teed up.
My pleasure. This is great.
Bring
guys.
It's a long time coming.
This
Billy,
is such a wonderful. I don't want to get misty, but this is such a wonderful public service, and of course, it's called "No One Is Listening," right, or something like that.
No One's Listening show.
I'm in Rafa's apartment, living room, but when you mentioned me last week as somebody who'd been like sort of rational on the pedestrian chat, I heard about it from everyone. So don't discount your reach. This is obviously serving a need and a void here.
Well, right, you're welcome back anytime, man.
We like to think that no one's listening, so we can talk a little more freely. Because if not,
I agree. Let's maintain the pretext for that purpose, but let's start trying to book people a lot bigger than me.
I like having you on. That was nice.
All right. Well, it is Monday, May 21st, 2018. It's about 8 o'clock right now. No One's Listening show, episode 110. Everybody out there, thanks for listening. The best way to listen, even though I know there's a lot of people listening live on Facebook, it really isn't. Go to ratradio.net, subscribe. You can subscribe to iTunes podcast. They'll dump right onto your phone automatically every week. There's other options if you have Android too. That's what I use. Just get on, subscribe, listen to us every week, leave us comments. It really means a lot. And I guess that's it, unless you guys have anything.
All right. Thank you.
All.
Good night.
All right. Have a good night, guys. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.